Hello friends, so far we have talked around basics of OutSystems. We have seen logic building, we have seen UI designing, we have seen how we can use client action, server action, many more things, right? Now it's time to develop something end to end. It means designing something, working on the business logic and saving something inside database. So what we'll do, we will now try to build something from start to end so that we'll understand how exactly end-to-end operations works in OutSystems. We'll talk about database operations, how we can insert something in database, how we can retrieve from database, how we can update something in database, and how we can delete something from the database. Along with these CRUD operations, we will also see some other things like how pop-up model work, how we can develop filter functionality and many more. So let's have a look to the requirement. We will follow one task management requirement and we'll try to develop something exactly same in a step-by-step manner. So let's see. So this is our task management feature what we need to develop. Upon landing to the main page, it will show tasks in a tabular format. We will show title, description. Now, in the description, we need not to show the entire description. We just need to show till 100 character and then we'll show 3 dots. It will be having a remove button. Upon clicking on add button, it will navigate to another page where user should be able to add a task providing a title. Title will be a mandatory field. Okay. So if I provide a title, new task, and this is a description, if I add something, once I click on save button, it should show a spinner pop-up. That's a new thing. And it should add the task here. If I click on the same title, it should be available in the edit mode. And if I edit, it should just edit the task number 13. And you see it is showing a processing. If we want to remove a task, we will click on the remove icon and first it will give a pop-up, and in that pop-up it will confirm whether we want to actually delete or not. If we say no, it will not at all perform anything. If we say yes, again it will show a processing spinner and then delete it. Along with all these functionalities, we will be having a pagination. We will be showing just five items in one page, and in the next page we will show the next items. Then if we want to search, we can just search by the title. So whatever title whatever we are writing, it is searching based on the title and giving the search result. That's it. So step by step we'll do all this thing. I would like you to watch the video first and then implement along with me, so that at the end you will be having one end-to-end task management feature ready and developed with all the supporting workflows. Okay, I hope you understand the requirement. If you want to understand more about the requirement, you can read the requirement document I have given with this video under the resources, and we'll meet in the next lecture and we'll see the actual implementation. So I hope you understand. You can watch this video again to understand what exactly we need to do if you have any confusion. And from the next video, step by step we'll see. First we will create this page to add something. Then we will create this page to show. Then we will create edit feature. Then we will create this spinner pop-up. Then we will create the delete pop-up. Then we will create a delete function, delete functionality. Then we will create the search functionality, and along with that we will create the pagination. So the entire workflow will be splitted between 10 or 12 videos, I believe. So I want you to watch each and every video from start to end. Don't skip anything, don't fast forward, and try to build the feature along with me. Okay guys, I hope you understand. We'll meet in the next lecture. Till then, bye-bye. Hello friends, let's implement our first workflow around database operations in OutSystems. So let's see what we need to do. First, we will develop this page, add a new task. So if we have to add a new task, we will have to first create a table, right, where we will store the task specific details, correct? Let's first understand if how we are gonna how we'll design the entire thing. So if we have to achieve the same in Java or .NET, what are the things we will require? First, we will require a table, an entity, a database table. We will, let's see, we'll give a name task. This will be having attribute ID, that will be a primary key, then title, okay, and description. These three attributes this table will be having. Then we will design a page, add title, add task. Here we will be having title, here we will be having description, and the save button. Upon clicking on save, it will call the add function, a server action, and in this server action we will write the logic. If we are doing this in Java, we will write the logic to connect to the database. We will fire one insert query so that the data will get inserted in this table, right? This is how we will develop this in Java or .NET. In OutSystems, things become little bit easier, because by default, when OutSystems set up the environment, OutSystems set up the database for us. We don't need to bother about creating a database server, setting it up, or creating a schema. We directly get it. We just go to the database portion and right click and create tables. That's it. Let's see. To implement the entire solution, we will require one application. So I will create a new application first. We'll see it, right? We'll see how we create the database table. It will be a reactive table, reactive application. I will give name task management, and this is the blue theme I will use. It will ask me to create a module with the same name. I will create one reactive web app module. Probably after completing this, we will see the modularization. Then you will understand how we deal with multiple modules. Now, if we have to create a database table, we go to data tab. Under database, we right click and add one entity. We see two options: add entity, add a static entity. We will talk about a static entity as well at the end of the session. Add entity, I will give a name task, description, task entity. We give a proper description. Public by default no. If we make it yes, it means we will be able to use this entity inside another modules as well. If you see this system is a module created by OutSystems. Under system, we have an entity which is user entity. User entity holds the user specific data, username, users of this application, users of this entire environment, right? This entity has been defined as public yes inside the system module. That's why we are able to utilize and use this particular entity inside this module, task management module. Similarly, if we want to use this entity, this task entity inside another module, we will make it yes, public yes. And this is how we develop the enterprise application, right? We don't just create one application, we create multiple applications. Few applications contains UI specific things, UI screens, UI blocks, UI logic. Few application contains the business logic, the server actions, tables, and the business logic applications, or we say service applications, provide the services to the UI specific applications and modules. We'll see all these things in the later lecture. Expose read only yes. If we say yes, it means we are encapsulating the entity. Let me show you what I mean by encapsulating. If you just expand the task entity, by default OutSystems add one attribute which is ID. ID data type will be long integer. Is auto number yes, it means it will be auto incremented. And by default OutSystems add a primary key index with this particular attribute. So it means ID will be a primary key and it will be auto increment yes. Now if we need to create more attributes, we will right click, add entity attribute, title, description will be title of the task, then data type will be text, length should be little bit more, 100 character we can say. Is mandatory yes, because in the requirement title is mandatory. And if we say is mandatory, yes. It means on the database level, we are instructing the system that the title will be mandatory, so that OutSystem will by default automatically perform the validation. We will see that as well. We will add a second attribute, right click, description, and we will give a proper description of the task. Length should be little bit more, we will keep it 500, mandatory no. That's it, we are done with our table creation. You can do till this point, you can create a task, you can create one application, one module, and create a task entity. Okay. Now, if we have to insert record in Java, how we do? We fire a one insert query, insert into task, values, under parenthesis the column name, and then values, and then we provide values, right? This is how we write a insert query. Verbally I have explained you, but I believe you are able to visualize it, right? What I was verbally saying. In OutSystems, we get CRUD actions. We say it database actions. If we have to create a new record, we just call create task. This is a server action. We can call this action inside a server action or inside a client action, and we can just provide one task object, and it will insert and provide the ID back to us, back to the consumer. So similarly, we get one method to create or update. By the name, we can easily understand that it will just create or update will create if it is not present, or it will update if it is present. And how it will determine whether it is present or not? Based on the ID provided. If that ID, if a record with that ID, provided ID, is present in the database, it will update. This value it will update. If it is not at all present, it will create. Okay. Update task will update, get task will give the task specific record based on the ID. So OutSystems provide these database entity actions to us, and we can use that to perform the CRUD operations. Now, if we say expose read only, yes, it means whenever we are going to use this table inside consumer modules, only get task action will be available there in the consumer module. We can't directly use the create task in the consumer module. Create task can be used and can be implemented in this module only if it is expose read only, yes. If it is no, then it can be used anywhere. We'll see this when we'll talk about modularization. Okay, that's it, we are done. Our task entity has been created. Okay, now let's go to the main menu, main flow. We need to create one add new task page. So I will add a screen. It will be a blank screen, and I will say add task or task details. I will say task details because it will show the details as well. Or we can say task management. Include in menu. For now, let's include this in menu. Okay. Now we will say add task. This will be my title. Now what I will require to design the screen in this format, right? We will be having one label, then one text field, then label of the description, then the text area, and two buttons. Okay. You know the designing, right? Because previously we have done lots of exercises around designing. If you have not done the designing exercises, I would recommend go to the another course, the exercise specific course what I am having on Udemy, and you can follow the designing exercises so that you will get an understanding how we usually design in OutSystems. Now I am gonna show you one straightforward way to design. First of all, we will require two variables to hold these information, right? So there are two ways. I can either define two text variables. One will be title and second will be description. This is way one. Or what I can do, I can define just one variable and the data type will be task. You see, by default automatically it has taken the same data type. Now I will be having all the three things here: ID, title, description. We will not assign ID, we will just assign title and description. That's it. Okay. Now if we have to create something similar in HTML, we use HTML form, right? I believe you know this. We use HTML form, right? Similar thing we are trying to achieve. We create this, we add this form tag. Inside the form tag, we add label and inputs, and we add one submit button. Upon submit, HTML automatically perform this action. Right? This is how HTML and PHP form submission, and not only in HTML, PHP, in all the language, in the same way it works. Similar thing we can achieve in OutSystem as well by introducing a form widget. So we have a form widget. We will drag and drop a form widget first. Then if we drag and drop the entity object, data type is a task, we can say that this variable is an entity variable or entity object. Both in both way I can refer this variable. If I drag and drop this here, OutSystem will understand behind the scene that probably as we are dragging and dropping one entity variable in under the form, it means we want to create a save form feature. That's why OutSystem has automatically added the title, description, a save button. It has not added a cancel button, but the save button it has introduced, and many things it has done. Let's go to the form and let's see. This is the form. Then under one container we have these two things. Here we have button. Is form default property? Now let's talk about the buttons. If we say that this button is form default, it means behind the scene OutSystems create the button type as submit. One form in HTML as well may have multiple buttons, but only one button will be acted as a submit button, whichever will be having a type as submit, so that upon clicking to this button only this form will trigger this action. Similarly, we will also require to instruct OutSystem that this is our submit button. As currently this one button only we are having on the screen, OutSystem by default set that is from default yes. Okay. Now if we will have to then handle the action. So we will handle the action. As soon as we handle the action performed event, OutSystems add one if condition here. This is also automatic. As we have introduced the form, inside the form we have introduced one action button, and by default we said built-in validation yes. It means OutSystems need to perform a built-in validation. OutSystems has by default added one if condition, and that if condition says under the widget we have a form 1 and we have two properties ID and valid. It is checking if it is valid, then only it will go here, otherwise it will just end. It will not at all perform the main business logic if form is not valid. And how OutSystem will determine whether it is valid or not? Automatically. If you go to the field, mandatory property is true by default. Why? Because the table's attributes mandatory property was set to true. Now if user will not provide any value here, and before that he will click on save, behind the scene the valid property will be false for this attribute, for this widget, and by default the valid property of form will also be set as false. Automatically all this thing will get handled. Valid property, mandatory property of this description is false by default. So what will happen if user is not providing anything? The form.valid will be false and it will not at all perform the final action. We will see it. We'll see it, right? Let me just show a message. Form valid. It was very easy. Just I am explaining what is happening behind the scene. So let's run it till this moment only. We'll see where it is going, what exact behavior it is showing on the UI, and then after that we'll implement the final add feature. Okay, 1 minute. What we have done, we have just introduced a form and drag and drop a variable in on the UI. That's it. Just two things we have done. Just wait. I hope you are practicing. Practice is very essential part if you have to learn any language. Okay, if I just click on save, you see it is giving me this red border along with this message by default, because it's a default validation provided by OutSystems. Okay, that's it. So if I will just provide anything and click on save, now the validation got passed and form valid, it came here. Okay, now done. Now what we need to do here, we need to perform our main action. If the control is coming here, it means form is valid, user has provided the proper valid values. Now what we need to do, we need to insert the record. How we can insert the record? By just calling this create task. We need to provide a source, and we have the source available in the scope, which is task. Inside the task user has assigned, right? If you go and see the input variable task.title, it has been binded with task.title. This has been binded with task.description. So by default, in this object, the value will get assigned, and the same we are passing to the create task. Behind the scene, it will create one new task and return the ID to us. This is one way, but it's not giving any error, but it's giving one warning. Let's see what's warning it is. You are exposing a database operation in the client side. Validate the data in a server action before changing the database. Yes, what we are doing, we are exposing one critical database action directly in the client action. That's not a proper way, right? It's not. It's against the best practice. What we should do, we should enforce encapsulation here. We should encapsulate this action by creating a wrapper action. So what we'll do in the logic under the server action, we will go and we'll create a wrapper action. A wrapper action wraps the database operation. So what we'll say, wrapper add task, add or update task. We will use the same for both the operation. Update task. Okay. What it will require as a variable? A task object. You see the data type is task. And after completing the task, it will return the ID of task. So task ID. Very fast I have written, that's why automatically it has taken. If I will write it slowly. Let me do the same thing again. Task ID. Okay, I have not typed I. Before that, OutSystem understand that I am talking about task, so it has by default taken the task as an data type. But I am not talking about task object. I am talking about task ID. So I will have to change it to task ID. And here inside this server action, I will call this create task. That's it. Done. Now it's not giving warning. So instead of calling create task, what I will do, I will call create or update task, so that for both the operation, for creating or updating, I will utilize the same. What it will do, create or update, it will check whatever ID we are providing. At this moment, what ID we are providing? Null ID. We are nowhere setting the ID, correct? We are just setting the title and description. So ID will always null. Default value will be null. So here we are providing null. It will first check, do we have one record where ID is null? No, we don't have record. It will create a new record with a new ID, because auto number is true. So it will create a record with a new ID. After that, we will just assign back the ID, task ID, and it will come from the above action. That's it. That's it. Now I will call this. Perfect. Now I will just give a success message. Task created. ID is equal to this. That's it. We have just achieved part 1, creating a task. We are currently we are not showing the task anywhere in the screen. Okay. Slowly, step by step, we'll achieve and we'll implement the other things. So if I add now task 1 description of task 1, if I click on save, task created ID 1. How you can check it has been created or not? By firing a select query. If you are doing this in Java, what you will do? You will log into the database server, you will open the database workbench, you will fire a query, select star from task. How you can do that in OutSystems? Directly, if you double click to the entity, it will fire a query behind the scene, and graphically it will show you in a proper tabular format what data this table is having. You see it is having one ID. This is the title, this is description. As a developer, you can update as well from here only. This is because you are working on a development environment. On production, you cannot do this. Got it? You got one record in the task table. That's it. Done. What we have done, we have just created a table. Then we have created one screen, task management. We have given the name. We introduce one form widget on the main content, and we have just drag and drop a task variable, and task variable is a data type is task only. We, as soon as we drag and drop, automatically it has created everything. We just implemented a save client action. Inside the save client action, automatically OutSystem has implemented form.valid. We just created a wrapper action, and the wrapper action is the server action. This demands a task as an input and provide a task ID as an output. And behind the scene, under the wrapper action, we are calling the create or update task from the task entity. This is the end-to-end implementation we have done just to add a new task. That's it. I hope you understand. So try to do it by your own. And in the next lecture, we will implement this particular screen. If you go to our requirement, we will implement this screen. Okay, how we can show the task. Just add the task and show the task. In the third lecture, we will implement the edit task feature. Slowly, step by step, we'll implement everything, and automatically you will be able to work on the database operation. You will get to know all the entire workflow to deal with the database operation. That's it. That's the intent of this entire section. Okay guys, till then, bye bye. We'll meet in the next lecture. Hello friends, during previous lecture we have implemented the add task feature. We have seen how we can insert a record in a database. Now in this lecture we will see how we can show a record. We can fetch the record from the database and show on the UI. So this is our requirement. Something like this will implement a task page, task list page. We'll name it task only, and we will show all the tasks in a form of table. We will not show this remove button at this moment. Gradually we'll go to the remove part, probably in after 3-4 lectures. We will show just the list along with this add task button. We will now remove the task management link as well, because if we have to go on add task or update task page, we can go via clicking on this button, right? So we know we don't need one menu item here. So let me go to the OutSystems. This is my same task management application. If you have not implemented till this level, I would recommend go back and watch the previous video. Understand the add task requirement, understand how we can insert the record in the database, try to implement this and at least come to this point, then watch this video. Otherwise, you will miss lots of things and you will not be able to understand how the things working behind the scene. Okay, what I need to do, I need to create a new page to show the task list. So what I will do, I will right click, add a screen. I will name it task, include in menu. Yes, this will be included in menu. And I will give task list. I'm not giving this icon. You can give it by your own. This is a requirement for you. I'm just adding a label. Instead of adding this button here, I will add in this here in the action section. So first we need a button which will redirect us to task management page. So what I will do, I will just introduce a button by dragging and dropping. I will give a name add task. Okay, and plus icon also we are having. So we will introduce plus icon as well. How? Under the button we are having add task label. So if we need to add an icon, it should be again under the button only. Right click to the button, insert widget, and we see one icon. By default it is adding at the right. We can drag it to left. If you see the property of icons, we have a size 2x of the general font size, but in the requirement it is exactly as the same size of the font, so we will make it 1x or font size. We have a little bit margin, so either we will add a right margin in the icon or left margin in the label, whichever we want we can do. So left margin, left S. Okay, now it has added margin. Now if I have to change the icon, by default it adds a flag icon. If I need to change, I can double click to the icon or double click here as well. It will open icon window and I can just search plus. This is the plus. Okay, now I got my plus icon. It is giving error because on click we have not yet defined. So what we need to do on click, we need to go to the task management page. So directly we can assign this page to on click. This is one way. Second way, we can do like this as well. We can, instead of directly going to the page, we can call one action, and in this action, instead of end, what we can do, we can just add a destination widget, and in this destination we can select task management. Both are same. But here if we have to do something before destinating it to the page, we can at least do it here. So both the actions are fine. Either we can go to a new action, or we can directly go to the task management. Both are fine. But now this action will be no use because we are not at all using it. That's it. Now what we need to do? Now we need to fetch data, right? And we need to show that data in a form of table. How we can fetch data from the database in Java? We write a query, select star from task, and whatever result set we get, we assign that to a list, and then we play with that list in the UI. Correct? This is how we do. In OutSystems, if we have to fetch data from database, we can directly fetch in the screen only by right click to the screen and fetch data from database. We have this aggregate available. There are two ways to fetch data from database. One is fetch data from database, one is fetch data from other sources. We'll see both. First we'll see the fetch data from database. As soon as we add, it means it is adding a query. Okay. Now it gives this particular window to us. It asks either we can drag and drop the table, or we can just click and select the table, which table we need to fetch. Now let me just show you something. If we have to fetch in Java, what we do, we write the query select star from task table name. Okay? This is how we write a query. By doing this, by introducing the aggregate, we have done this select. Now we need to do star from, select star from we have done. Now we need to instruct which table we need to select. So we can select task table. Now we have written this complete query by doing this. So what it will do, it will fetch everything from the task table, and as a developer it is showing the result as well to you. If it is showing a result, it means the query is perfect. Query is correct. It will give this data on the UI as well. So you see a task one, you got it. Now what are the other things in the table? After that we add where condition. where ID is equal to question mark or is active or whatever. If we have to add a where condition in OutSystems, we can add filter. Whatever condition we need to add, now under the scope we have all the attribute of task we can add. Suppose we have one more attribute which is active. So we can say that fetch only that tasks which are active, where is active is equal to true. Currently we don't have that's why you don't see that. But for a safer side, what we can do, we can add one condition where task ID is greater than 0. You can't apply identifier greater than 0. Okay. So what we can do, where task ID is not equal to null identifier. So it will give all the record where task is not null. In case, however, we will not be having a null record there, but if we are having, it will not at all filter that. After this, we sometime add sorting as well. Order by attribute, ascending, or DESC, right? So if we have to add order by, we can add sort as well, where title ascending true, right? So now it will always sort the title, sort the data based on title in the ascending order. So now our entire query is ready. If we have to add more entities, we can add more entities and we can define joins as well. That will be a little bit complex, not that complex, but our main motive is to first prepare one end-to-end feature. In the next lecture, we will definitely see that as well. That's it. Now this particular entity aggregate will give all the data. Now see the properties. This is the name. We will give a description as well. Server request timeout, module defined timeout. Where the module default timeout is, if you go to module, in the module properties, we have server request timeout. It means it will just wait for 10 seconds until this query returns something. If this query is not returning something under 10 seconds, it will give timeout error. There are possibilities it may not return something in 10 seconds. Suppose it is having 5 lakh records, and if we have not provided a limit of record, it will try to fetch 5 lakh record under the scope. It may not complete the action within 10 seconds, right? In that case, it will give error. So ideally we should handle that, correct? Okay, after that, start index, max record. We need to introduce one thing, right? What do we need to introduce? Pagination. So OutSystems automatically handle that. As per the requirement, we need to just show 5 record in one page. So our max record will be 5. Fetch at start. Yes, we need to fetch at start only. As soon as user will land on this page, automatically OutSystems will call this action and get the data. If we say on demand, then we will have to explicitly initiate the fetch operation, probably on a button click. Whenever user click on this button, then only fetch the data, right? So if we have to implement something like that, then we keep this only on demand and explicitly we write the logic to fetch the data. We'll see that. On after fetch. Now every aggregate and database action gives us one event to handle, which is on after fetch. Suppose we need to perform something immediately after getting the data, but before showing the data on the UI. In that case, we can handle the on after fetch event. This is a client action. We can handle this inside a client action. As soon as the data get fetched, OutSystems will automatically call this action. Under this action, all this data will be available. And if we want to perform some post processing, we can perform here, and then it will show to user on the UI. Okay, we will see this as well, how we can use and what are the use cases we usually use this. That's it. I got my task ready on the scope of the screen. Now I want to show this task in a tabular format. So what I will do, I will introduce a table and then bind column with each respective column. We have done this activity previously, right? I hope you have done that. That's why you need to follow each and every lecture, at least till 50 lectures, till 45 to 50 lectures, because you are currently understanding the basics, right? You should, everything is interconnected with each other. So we have seen that before, how we can introduce table, how we can bind the columns with each other. There is one more way to do that in OutSystems. If you drag and drop one aggregate, in OutSystems directly on the screen, OutSystems by default implement a table behind the scene. As this aggregate was having max record set as 5, OutSystems understood that we need to show a pagination as well, where we will just show 5 record on one page. That's why OutSystems automatically added this start index and max record attribute variables, set the default value as 5. OutSystems has introduced this pagination widget, introduced this handler. In this handler, OutSystems has write the appropriate logic as well. OutSystems has write the sorting logic as well. Everything OutSystems has done by its own. We will see in the later lectures if we have to do it by our own, how we can do this. But our main task is done. Now we are showing the data in a form of table along with the pagination. Okay. Now we need to do two things. One is we need to remove this link, task management. I don't want this now, because now I am having a button, add task button, so I don't need that add management or task management menu item available on the menu, correct? So if I go to task, I should see it has introduced one spinner as well, and we should see this task. If I go to add task, I can add this, save. It is saving. If I go here, I should see 2 tasks here. Now 2 things I need to do. One, I need to remove the task management menu. Second, as soon as we save, we should redirect to the task page, and we should have one cancel button as well. If we don't want to save, we can click on cancel and it will also redirect us to task page. So first I will go to the, let me go back to the task page. I need to remove this task management. I will just double click to the block. I will go to the menu block, widget tree, under nav, under page links, and this is my link, right? Task management. I will just delete that. That's it. That's it. Now under the task management, as soon as we perform save, after that we will click, we will introduce a destination and we will destinate it to the task page. That's it. Destination is end, so we don't require end if we are using the destination widget. And I want one more button, so I will introduce one more button here. Drag and drop and cancel button. Why this button is having solid background, why this is having shallow background? If you go to the button, this button is having style class button primary. This is not having any other style class other than btn. Okay. Upon clicking here, it will navigate to the task page directly. We will not at all do anything. Is form default? No. This is a cancel button. This is not a form default button, right? And this is a save button. This is only a form default button. Publish. That's it. Our show task feature is now ready. So we have, in previous lecture, we have introduced add task feature. In this lecture, we have introduced show task feature, right? Get task feature simply. So if I refresh this, now upon login, by default, I will come to this page, task page. I will not be having add task button here. If I click on add, if I click on cancel, I will go back here. If I add, I can add a new task, save. Upon saving, it will redirect me to the task list page. That's it. That's it. We need to implement few more things, right? If we add something it should show a spinner. We will see that as well. That's it, but at least the basic feature is ready now. So that's it, guys. We will meet in the next lecture. And try to do it by your own and come to this point. And in next lecture, you will understand another thing, and then I would recommend you to implement that as well. Hello friends, during previous lecture we have introduced the page where we were showing the records, the task from the database. In short, we have implemented the fetch record from the database operation, and we have just shown the data on the UI. Now in this lecture we will introduce ID column in the table, and we will implement the edit task feature. Okay, so first we have seen the create operation, second we have seen the get operation, now third we will see the update operation. Okay, so let's jump to the let's first see the requirement. So we need to add one ID attribute here. ID should be a link. Upon clicking on ID, it should redirect to the same add task page, task management page. Now it should show edit task. That's one requirement. Instead of showing add task, it should show edit task. And by default, it should fetch the data and show the task related title and description, whichever ID it belongs to. And upon saving, it should now update it, right? Instead of saving it. So let's go back to the OutSystems. In the same application, I am doing that. So what we need to do first, we need to first introduce one more column, which is ID. So I will click on the table. This is my table. I will go to widget tree. This is my table. Right click to the table, add a new column. By default, it will add a column at the end, and it will add a row as well. Instead of end, I need that at the first. Now let me add under the header, let me add one header title, header text, that will be ID. And in the row, I will right click, insert widget, and it will be expression, right? Because we will bind this expression with the, I just double click on the value, with the get task.list.current.task.id. Because with this table, we have binded the get task.list as a source. Now my ID is here. Now, what I need to do, let's understand. If we need to go to the same page, task management page, upon clicking on the ID, it means we are keeping the ID from this page to and bringing it to the task management page, right? It means we are passing the ID from here to there. That is how the task management page will get to know, right, which ID I got and on which ID I need to perform the update action. It means the task management should have one input parameter, that is task ID. Task ID. It should be task identifier, right? Whenever we will click on the ID, it will redirect to the task management page along with that ID. Now this task ID is mandatory. Yes, it has started giving one error because upon clicking on add task, we are navigating to task management. Here also we will have to pass something. Now this is the add feature. This is the add task feature, right? We don't need to pass a specific ID. If we pass null identifier here, OutSystems will treat this behind the scene, automatically treat this as an add feature, right? Or we will be able to add a logic that if it is coming null identifier, it means it is an add operation. If it is coming with an ID, it means it is the update operation. Okay, so from the add button we will pass null, and from this ID I will go to the expression editor. I will go to the expression widget. I can go to the widget also. This is my expression, or here also I can right click and link to, or here also I can right click and link to the action, link to the task management directly. This is one way I can do. Second way, I can introduce link from here. Both are the same. I can introduce link from here, and this link text will be my expression, and this link will go to task management. Now it will also require task ID. If I will just expand the suggestions, I will see one suggestion, task id.list.current.task.id. This is what we want to pass to the page. That's it. Now let's come to this page, task management. If it is null, if we are coming from this particular button click, we need to show add new task. If we are coming after clicking here, we need to show edit task. It means this add task or this title will be driven by the condition. It will be conditional, right? So how we can make it conditional? Under the title, we can insert one if condition. You see, if widget. And under this if widget, we can add a condition if task ID is equal to null identifier. If it is null, it means we are coming from the add button click. In that case, we will under true, we will show add task. Under the false, if it is not null, it means we are having something. If we are having something, then we will show, what we will show? Edit task ID parenthesis plus ID plus curly bracket parenthesis close. You see, first task is done. We have added one more column. We have added one more attribute, input parameter in the task management screen. While clicking on the add button, we are passing null as a task ID. While going from the ID click, we are passing the actual ID, and we have conditionally provided the proper label, proper title to the page. Okay, so if we are clicking here, it will pass task ID 0, it will show add task. If we are going from this, it will pass task ID 2. Now it will just show this particular title. Okay, that's it. Now, if task ID is not null, we need to fetch the task as well. Then only we will be able to auto-populate the task title and task description, right? So what we will do, we will fetch the data from database. It will be at start. Max record will be 1 only, because we will provide one condition, right, where task ID is equal to whatever task ID we are getting from here. So we will introduce a task entity. Under the filter, we will be having where task.id is equal to task ID. So what it will do, at the start only, it will fetch the task based on the ID provided. If we are providing null ID, it will not fetch anything, because we don't have null value available in the database. Now we don't need this task attribute at all, this task variable at all. We can directly bind the things with this task, right? Or we can assign, there are 2 ways to achieve this. Okay, let me talk about that. We got our actual task here in this particular aggregates task object. But here in this page, we are showing the, we are binding the text inputs with the task variable. Task variable will be blank by default. What we can do, as soon as we fetch the record from the get task by ID attribute, aggregate, we can handle the on after fetch. And in this on after fetch, what we can do, we can assign to the task, the local variable, what we can assign, get task by ID dot list dot current. However, it will only give one record, but that record will be in a form of list, right? Because this is a default property of aggregate. It provides a list as an output. What it will do, as soon as it will fetch a record, it will call the get task by ID, and it will assign the current record to the task. Now this task.id, title and description, everything will be binded with the current record of get task by ID. Now let's publish and see. This is one way. Second way, we can directly bind our input fields to this particular object, right? That is also possible because this is also belongs to the UI screen and it is under the screen scope only. But in this way you understand how and what type of operation we usually use the on after fetch. You see now behind the scene it fetches the data based on ID2 and binded with the proper variable. Let me go back here. Let me click here. It just called that action, that aggregate, fetch the data and binded with the proper that assigned to the task variable. And now as the input is binded with the task variables object, automatically that binding got done and we see the proper data. Now if we click on save, automatically it will be handled because upon saving we are passing the this task to the server, and here we are already using create or update. So as at this moment we are passing ID1, whatever task object we are passing, that task object is having ID1, title whatever we are passing, title edited. Now we are passing title as title1 edited, description will be same. If I save, it will update the record in the database because it will find that we have one record available in the database with ID1. It will right away go and update the title and description. If we click on add task, it will pass null as a task ID. We don't have any record available in the database with null. Now whatever we are providing here, it will create a new record with ID 4. You see? If I now update it, it will updated. You understand? I believe understand. It's a video lecture, so I can't communicate with you. It cannot be a two-way communication, but in general, when I work with the live classes, people ask questions around this concept, but as I don't have any way to get the live questions, anyway you can go and comment on this video, or you can ask any question by asking from a proper channel, and definitely I will answer. So I hope you understand what we did. We just introduce one aggregate in the task management, and here we provided one condition where task.id is equal to task id what we are getting in the task management as an input. It will fetch that record, and under the get task by id on after fetch, how we have defined that? In the aggregate we have one on after fetch event. We have just handled that by creating a new action, and in this action we have assigned to the local variable what we created previously with the get task by id .list .current object. This is way one. The second way, let me first save it because I provide this OMLs to you as well. Let me just save it. How to update data in database. Now let me explain you the second way. Instead of having this task, what we can have, we don't need this as well. We don't need this as well. We can directly bind this with the get task.id.list.current.task.title, this with the description, and upon saving, previously we were passing task. Instead of task we can pass the get task by id.list.current.task. That's it. Now we eliminated the use of unnecessary variable. Directly we have binded with the get task by id aggregates object, right? In this way, if we are providing a task ID, we will be having proper values here. If we are not providing an ID, if it is null, we will be having null values here. That's it. It will work. But in the previous way, we understood how we can use the on after fetch event of an aggregate. Okay. If I want to update it, update it. Perfect, right? Update it. Okay, got it? Now, that's it for this lecture. Now let me give you one exercise. if I do one thing, let me add a new task, task 5 description. What I'm gonna do, I will click multiple time. I will double click or triple click or click 4 times to this save button quickly, right? I have clicked multiple time. It has created multiple record. We had a pagination, right? Task 5, task 5, task 5, task 5, task 5. It has created 6 records. Because what was happening? Upon clicking on the save button, it was going here. It was taking a fraction of time. Between that time, we have multiple time clicked. So multiple call went to the server. What we should do, immediately when the first call is coming here, we should just show one spinner and we should freeze the screen so that user cannot double click on the same button. And at the end, we should release the screen and redirect to the task page. This is what we need to do. You see, screen got freezed. So you need to create a pop-up. On that pop-up, you need to show a spinner. Verbally, I am telling you that a spinner, if you have to show the spinning spinner, you will have to set a property of that icon as spinner. Spinner is a CSS class name. Just add this class. That will start showing as a spinner icon, spinning icon. And just play with the variable show pop-up height pop-up here. Okay, try to do this by your own, otherwise in the next lecture we'll implement the same. What we'll do, we will show a pop-up with the spinner on the save button, or we can say we will implement a wait pop-up, simple. Okay, I hope you understand, guys. We will meet in the next lecture. Till then, bye bye. Hello friends, during previous lecture we have implemented the edit feature as well. So far we have seen how we can add a data in the database, how we can get the data from the database, and how we can edit the data in the database. Now we will implement that spinner. Previously, in the previous lecture, I have given this exercise to you. Let's see how we can introduce spinner or a processing message, right? Processing message spinner while creating a new task. So let me go to my task management. Okay, this is my task management, and what I need to do, as soon as I click or user click on the save button, I need to show a spinner. So what I will do, I will introduce in this task management page only, I will introduce one pop-up. Under footer also I can add it, and when we will show this pop-up, we will show this pop-up based on a variable property which is processing. By default, the is processing will be false. As soon as we will click on the save button, we will set it true. Is processing will set it true so that it will start showing that processing pop-up. So the show pop-up property will be binded with is processing. Here in this pop-up, I will be having one icon, and this icon size will be font size. Icon will be spinner. We have a spinner pop-up, a spinner icon, and we will have to give a class spinner to make it show rounding, right? This is spinner class we will have to use. Beside or next to just this spinner, we will give a text as well. We will say, please wait, processing. Whatever we want to say, we can say. It will be having a left margin left S. Okay, that's it. Done. We are done, and we will make it align center. So it will little bit. It will be looking good, and width we can say 50%, so that it will be little bit smaller, or 30%. Perfect. That's it. We will make it disappear from the development view. Now, whenever user click on the save button here, after checking the valid property of the form, we will say that is processing is true. Is processing true. And after performing the save action or the server action of server call, after calling the server action, we will say is processing false. So as soon as user click, it will open the pop-up and screen will get freeze. User will not be able to double click. And once the server action, server call get done, it will release the screen by just setting the is processing property false. That's it. Done. We are done. We achieved. However, we have not designed the pop-up in exactly same way what was said in the requirement, but we designed at least one version of our pop-up. Okay. So let me show you. Perfect. If I go here and if I edit or whatever I want to do, if I do this, save, immediately I got that and it got saved. Right? That's it for this lecture. It was very simple. Now in the next lecture we will introduce the remove feature or a new column in the table, and we will show one icon, a trash icon. Upon clicking, it will first ask whether we want to remove it or not, and then if we click on yes, it will remove. First we will implement a simple remove feature. Immediately upon clicking it will remove, and then we will introduce a prompt pop-up, right? That will add one extra layer of security, so that by mistake if someone click on the button, instantly it will not remove. It will at least give one more chance to decide whether actually we want to remove it or not. That's it for this lecture, guys. We'll meet in the next. Hello friends, during previous lecture we have seen how we can show the spinner, right? Processing spinner while performing a database operation, right? Now in this lecture we'll see how we can remove a record altogether from the database. Okay, what we need to do, let's have a look to the requirement. We need to show one remove column along with the remove trash icon. Upon clicking, as per the requirement, it is asking for the confirmation, but first we will implement a solution where directly we will remove it, and after that we will add this one more layer of security asking a confirmation, right, before actually performing the action. Okay, so let's do it. I will do it in the same application, the task management application. So in the task page, what I need to do first, I need to go to the table, right click to the table, add new column. Okay, this is how I can do, and one more way I can go to the widget tree, and here also I can do. At the end, I will introduce one text in the column, which will be the header name. It will be remove, and under the row I will implement one icon. I will introduce one icon. This icon will be trash icon. Yep, and it will be font size. No, let's make it 2 font size. I will add this under container, and I will align it to center. Similarly for this, I will add this inside a container, and I will align this to the center. So it will look pretty aligned. Okay, let's see. Let me okay, it doesn't require a sorted attribute. Perfect. Okay, now what I need to do, first I will have to introduce one remove action, right? So that on click of this icon I will call that action. So remove action I will introduce here. Remove. Okay, remove. This will require ID of the task, right? Whichever needs to be removed. So task ID. So the remove action will always require one ID, which will be task ID, and that task will get removed. So what I will do here, I will create one more wrapper action. Wrapper remove task. Okay, and under the server action, under logic, under server action I have created, this will require task ID. The data type is task identifier. Inside the wrapper action, I will use the delete task action. Okay, and I will provide that task ID, it will then delete it, that's it. And under my remove client action, I will call this wrapper action. And I will just provide the task. If it calls this and gets success, it will go to the next node, and here I can show the success message. And I will say task removed. That's it, task removed. Perfect. Success. That's it. Done. We are done. It's why it's giving error. It's giving error because it has not dropped properly in the flow. That's it. Just I need to bind it with the action. So I will go to the icon. I will right click to the icon, link to, remove. Now it will ask, right, which ID I need to pass here. It will ask for a binding. So I have that under suggestion. That's it. Done. Remove is done. It's simple, right? It's straightforward because we just need to call the database action. That's it. Now the critical thing is, the main thing is providing a pop-up and asking user to take the action. So let me just show you first. So if we remove this, I removed the third one. Task removed. We have not refreshed the aggregate, that's why it is not getting removed from here. If I will refresh now, refresh the page, it will get removed. Right? Third one is not available. But ideally, what we should do, we should refresh the data. So we can use the refresh data widget. We have just one aggregate, so we will just pass this aggregate here. Now it will refresh the data after completing this task. Now, the main thing what we need to implement is a prompt pop-up. This prompt pop-up. How we can implement that? So as you know, if we have to implement a pop-up, we require one variable. Similarly how we did in the task management, is processing variable we introduce. Here also we'll have to introduce one variable, show remove prompt or remove pop-up. Remove prompt pop-up. Okay. By default it will be false. And now on the remove button click, instead of doing the final action, what we will do? We will show that pop-up, right? True. Now in that pop-up we will write all the business logic. So what we'll do, under the footer we will right click, add a pop-up. This pop-up will be driven by the show remove pop-up. Now we want the feature like this, confirm deletion. So let's design. Under the pop-up I will first introduce one container, and everything will be center aligned to this container. Inside this container, first I will introduce one icon, and this icon is this caution icon. I don't know what is the icon name. Let me just caution. I don't know. Let's search the icon. I don't know what we say to that icon. We should have that because that's a common icon, right? We should have that icon somewhere. Triangle, right? It's a triangle. Yep. Yeah, this is the icon. Exclamation triangle. Oh. Okay. So this and this is in yellow color. So what I can say? I can say, first of all, it can be 2 font size. I can say text yellow. So it will be in yellow color. Just next to this icon, we have a text confirm deletion. Let's design exactly same, right? Confirm deletion, not a style class. This will be text, right? Confirm deletion. And class is bold, and we should have a left margin left. S. Now it's look good, right? So this will go to container 1. In the next container we have this message. Let me add one more container. In this container I will add one text. This text will be having this message. We have a margin top base, so it will look good. Margin top base. So I have added margin in this container. Now in the third container, in the container 3, I will be having the same margin as well. Okay, here I will be having two buttons. So button 1 will be no cancel, no, CANCEL. Okay, and upon clicking it will go to no cancel on click. What we need to do? We need to just hide the pop-up, right? That's it. So show remove pop-up is equal to false. Upon cancelling we will just hide the pop-up. And another button yes delete. Another pop-up will be yes delete. Oh sorry, another button will be yes delete. So I will go here, I will go here, I will go here, I will go here. I will add one more button, and this button should have a red class. So background red, and this should have background gray. Background gray. We don't have gray. For gray we have this neutral 267. Neutral 7 is fine, right? And this should say yes delete. Yes delete. Upon clicking here it should go to this section. Sorry. Upon clicking here it should go to this section. Yes delete. Now perfect. We are done with the UI design. The main thing is how we will handle the ID, because when we are let me first make it hidden. When we are clicking to this icon, we are passing the ID from here to the remove action. Okay. Now the scope of this ID belongs to this remove action. How this yes delete action will get to know which ID needs to be removed? So what we'll have to do, we'll have to introduce one local variable task ID needs to remove. Task ID needs to remove, and it will be task identifier. And here on the remove action we will not perform this particular actions. We will just set the task ID needs to be removed with the ID what we are getting in this remove action. That's it. Because after this immediately we will see that pop up. If we say no cancel, in that case this task ID needs to be removed should be reset to the null identifier, right? If user is not at all deleting, it will be reset with the null identifier. If it is deleting, here we can directly call this wrapper action. And we can pass this task needs to be removed, because at this moment something will be assigned here, and after that we can just show deleted or whatever we want to delete. Deleted, success, and then we can refresh the aggregate. That's it. Instead of warning we can make it success. That's it. You understand, right, what we have done? We have introduced a new variable which will hold the ID in the scope, and after clicking on the button we will first show the pop-up, and upon clicking on the yes button of that pop-up we will use that variable and whatever ID we have stored in the scope, and we will pass that to the wrapper action. It was simple. I will give this entire solution as a resource with this video, so you can you can see the implementation how I have done that. Okay, now if I want to remove it, it will first show me this. If I cancel this, it will not at all do anything. If I don't cancel it, delete it. And after deleting, we will have to make this disappear, right? So after cancelling, we will have to we will set it to false. Or instead of this, we can call this as well. No cancel on click, because we will have to set this task ID needs to be removed as blank, right? Because we have performed the action. Now it should reset to the blank one. So we can directly call this action. This action will set that to false and set this ID to null. That's it. Now one exercise for you. You need to implement the spinner. As soon as control come to this yes delete on click action, you need to show the spinner pop up here, and at the end you need to hide the spinner. That's it. This requirement is for you. I will not implement that. That's it, guys. I hope you understand. It was a pretty good exercise. We did yes delete. Perfect, right? Deleted. So in the next lecture, we will introduce this search functionality. So our end-to-end solution will now ready. So we have seen the create feature, update feature, edit feature, delete feature. Now we'll see the search feature. Okay, that's it for this lecture. We'll meet in the next lecture. Till then, bye-bye. Hello friends, so during previous lecture we implemented the remove feature. We have seen how we can remove data from database. Also we introduced a prompt, right? A pop-up prompt. So whenever user try to remove something, first it shows a prompt whether actually user want to remove it or not, and upon clicking on yes button only it performs the actual operation, actual action. Okay. Now in this lecture, what we will see, let me show you the requirement first. We will introduce this search filter. So whatever I search, the data should get filtered based on the search I am providing, and it should search based on the title. Okay, on the title field, it should perform the search operation. Let's implement it in the OutSystems. So I'm using the same application and module. I believe you are following the previous lectures. Now what we need to do in this task screen, we need to introduce one more text field just beside the add task button. So I will add one input, drag and drop the input, and this should have a margin. So I will go to button. Under style of button and margin auto. It's already there, na? So margin auto. Yep, it should show up in the UI, I believe. 1 minute, let me 0 column, 1 column. Okay, I have introduced this 1 column margin. If I say auto, it's not showing something. No problem. So this input should be binded with one variable. So variable will be, I will add a new variable, search text. It will be text only, right? So this will be binded with this search text. Now what needs to be implemented? As soon as user type anything, you see the requirement here in the mockup. I type I, M, P. With each type, it is performing the search. And as I remove the characters, it is performing the search. It means on each action performed on the input, it should perform the action. Okay. So what I will do, I will handle the on change event of the input. If we handle the on change event, it means whenever one on change event will get triggered, if system will identify that something got changed on the input, it will automatically trigger that event. And whatever handler we have defined, it will call that handler. That's it. Now in this handler, we need to write our logic. What logic we need to write? We just need to refresh the data. and that condition which will actually check the data based on the search input, we will write in the get task aggregate. So what we'll do in this handler, we will just refresh the get task. That's it, nothing else. But in the get task, what we'll do, we will apply one condition. Now what this condition will be, where task the title like, we will have to apply a like search right here, where task dot title like. And how you apply the like search in SQL? Let's see. Like search in SQL. How we do that? Let's see the query. This is how. Select name from product where name like %, then the text, then %. So we will have to introduce % plus the name, search text and %, right? Now done, correct? But one thing we will have to keep in mind, we need to only perform this this particular filter condition whenever there is something in the search text. So what we'll say, we will say if search text is equal to blank, or, and as we are applying one text to text equal operation, we should always trim it, right? So if it is blank, then it will not at all go here. If it is not blank, then it will perform this OR condition, and it will start searching in this way by performing this like search. That's it. That's it. Now this particular get task will refresh every time one action will perform on that search field. That's it. It was simple. It was just the game of this particular condition in the query. That's it. Let's see, and then I will explain you the query again. So if I search task, you see it is performing, na? Edited. You see it is, however it is quite slow, but it is performing the operation. Okay, and if I removing everything, it is not at all performing this condition, because this condition getting satisfied. If trim.search text is equal to it will not at all perform this particular condition. It will just consider this as a true. It is equal to blank, it means it is true. It will just move to the next condition, and we don't have any other condition available. Okay, that's it. What we have done, we have just introduced one filter which is checking the like condition on the search text, and this search text is binded with the field, and this text field, for this text field we have handled the on change event, and in the on change event we are just refreshing the get task. That's it, nothing else. I hope you understand. That's it for this lecture. So now our entire task management end-to-end feature is ready. We have implemented the create task, update task, remove task, prompting, then processing pop-up, then pagination, filtering, everything we have implemented, right? So this is how we can achieve the end-to-end database, a solution with end-to-end database operation simply. Now, next lecture is very important. We are going to understand what is static table, how we use that. That's one thing we'll understand. Second thing, we'll introduce one more table in this particular workflow, which is status, and we will see how we can apply joins in the aggregate. Okay, so what we'll do, we will introduce one more column which is status, and by default the status will new, and then I can go and update the status from new to completed or cancelled. Okay, we will introduce three status: new, completed and cancel. So by default, when we are creating a task, it will be a new task only, and then user will be able to update the status as per his as per the requirement or task actual status. So what you need to do, try to do it by your own. If you can, right, just try to understand how a static entity works. Upon adding the task, we should show just 2 fields. While saving, behind the scene, it should add the status as new only, but while editing, it should show one more field which is status. It should be a drop down, and we should have 3 status there: new, completed, and cancel. By default, new should get selected because the actual status of this task is new only. User should be able to change from any to any, and he should be able to save. That's it, a simple exercise. And we should show one more column here between the title and description, which is status. Verbally, I have explained you the requirement. Just try to do it by your own. It's very good exercise, and try to just you have done multiple things in OutSystems, right? Now try to research by your own. This is something new you got, which probably you don't know how you can achieve in OutSystems. Just try to understand, try to do some R&D, and just try to achieve the solution in short. Okay, if you find any difficulty anyway, you can come to the next lecture and watch the implementation. That's it, guys. That's it for this lecture. We will meet in the next. Hi guys, during previous lectures we have seen how we can perform CRUD operations in OutSystems, how we can create, retrieve, delete and update records in database. In this lecture we will talk about static entity. Very important lecture. Don't skip it, don't fast forward it. Watch this video from start to end and implement whatever I am implementing in this particular lecture, so that you will get a complete understanding around static entity. Now, what is a static entity, and for what we generally use this? Let me show you a use case first. This is our task management requirement, right? Now we have introduced one more column, which is status. By default, when we add a new task, the status should get inserted as new. When we edit a new task, we should see one more field, which is status. It should be a drop down, and it should show 3 statuses: new, completed, and cancelled. Whatever I save, it gets saved in database. Okay, it gets saved in the database. So you see, I just marked the status as cancelled. We should have one more filter available here. If I say all status, it should show all data, but if I want to filter it based on status, I should be able to filter it. In short, I need to introduce one more attribute in the task entity, which is status. Now suppose we don't have a static entity concept. How we'll do this? We will introduce one text variable which will be status, and we will store new or cancelled or completed there, and based on that only we will achieve the other workflows. Perfect. If we have to, in short, we want to define some static data. We want to work with some static data. If we have to work with static data in Java or .NET, we have one concept: enumeration. Enumeration in Java. So if we have to work with fixed set of constants like fixed name of days, okay, name of weekdays, these are the fixed set of constant. If we have to work with these things on any application, we can define enum in Java. Similarly, the status is also a fixed set of constants. We just need to define 3 fixed constant statuses: new, completed, and cancel. If we are working with Java, we will define one enum. If we have to achieve the same in OutSystems, we have a concept of a static entity. So in short, what we'll have to do, we'll have to introduce one more entity which will be static entity, and the name of the entity will be status. So to introduce a static entity in OutSystems, go to data tab, under database, click on add a static entity, give the name status. Now you can't on runtime you can't add record in the static entity. You can only add record in the design time, as it's a static entity, right? Only the static data can be it can accommodate, so it can't have a dynamic data. That's why on design time, to add records, you will right click to the entity and add records. So my first record will be new, and ID will be auto number. Automatically ID will OutSystem will handle ID 1, 2, 3. Second record will be cancelled or completed, and third record will be cancelled. That's it. That's it. I have introduced my static entity and 3 static constants in that entity. Now I will require one more attribute in my task entity, right? That will be status ID, right? That will be identifier of this status, so that I will be able to bind each task with a proper status. Now if you see the property of a status ID, it is having one more property available, which is delete rule. This is a referential integrity rule. It is a SQL server or SQL rule. It's same everywhere in SQL or Oracle or MySQL. If we are saying that the delete rule against the status ID in the task entity will be protect, it means we will not be able to delete any ID if the record associated to this status is present in the task entity. If we make it delete, in that case, if we delete any status from the status entity, it will automatically delete all the associated record from the task entity. If we make it ignore, it will not perform any referential integrity check. And if we delete the new from the status entity, it will not check whether new is present in the task or not. If it is present, then it will be idle. By default, when we add a reference key in the in any entity, by default OutSystems make this protect, but we can later change based on the requirement. We will talk about this in detail whenever we'll work on the actual capstone project. Okay, so we have introduced status ID. Now what we need to do, we need to, upon editing, we need to introduce one more field, which is status. Okay, so what I will do, I will go to task management. Now if you see the task get task by ID aggregate, we have status ID available, correct? Now to show the drop down, what I will require first the data to be shown in the drop down. So I will fetch data from database. I will fetch all the statuses. Okay, now it will give me all the statuses. There will be just one filter by default will get applied from OutSystems side where status is active, so that it will only show this active status record. I will have to publish to see the data here. Let me publish, because I have recently introduced the entity, right? First I will have to publish, then only I will be able to see the data. So this is how I will get all the statuses from the database first. After that, just wait for a second. Just watch this video completely, right? It's very important lecture. You see, now I got my statuses. Now what I will do, I will go here, I will add one more container above this container, and this will be my status container. And instead of this input, I will be having one drop down. Okay, this drop down will be binded with the status list. The list will be status list, and variable will be from get task by id dot list dot current dot task dot status id. Correct? Right? Because whatever I will select from this status, that will be binded with the actual status of the task. Correct? Now this label is giving error because it has been binded with the input widget 2, which we have deleted. Now we will have to bind it with dropdown 1, because each label should have a binding with the proper associated widget. That's it. Now done. Now we can set a proper status here. Here we will say empty text select status, and this should be mandatory true. Okay, because we should always provide a status. That's it. So while editing, we will be able to set the status. That's it. So what our requirements say, if we are editing any task, we should be able to select a proper status. Now let's see. This is my task management. I hope you followed previous lecture. If you have not followed, then you should first go to the previous 6-7 lectures and you should at least develop the basic version of task management. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand what I am doing here. If I edit, now it will give me status as well. It is not giving me by default new status because currently with the existing record, status is set as blank, right? Because newly we have added the new attribute. So I will, whatever status I want, I will set it. If I don't set and I save, it will give me error because it is mandatory. I can set and it will set as new. So if I will go back, now it should be new. I have done for another ID. Okay, now it's new. Now, what our requirement says, if I click on add button, then I should not at all see the status field, and by default it should set as a new status, correct? But if I go to the add task, it is showing because we have not written the logic to hide that. So how we can do that? If you see the container, entire status container, the visible property is by default true. If we say that if task ID is not equal to null identifier, then only show that. So if it is not equal to null identifier, it means we are editing a task. It will return true and the true property will go here and it will be visible. If it is null, it will return false, it will not visible. But in case of false, we need to set it, right? Before saving, we need to set it with a proper value. So we will require to set the status because it will be set as blank, right? Because while creating a new task, everything will be blank. So what we'll do, before calling the server action, we will set the default value. How we will set the default value? We will set the default value in this way. Status ID will be, now here it will be conditional. We need to do this only when task ID is null. If task ID is equal to null, then only we need to set the default value. Now how we can set the default value? This is the greatest property of static entity, that we can directly use the static entity in the client action assignment or expression editor. This is a client side expression editor, right? Save action is a client action and this is a client side expression editor. If we type entities dot status, what we have newly created, and if we say new, it will give the ID and it will set to the status ID what we have introduced in the value in the first step, in the variable step. Otherwise, if it is not null identifier, then set it whatever we are having. Do not make any change. So if it is null, it will be set as new. If it is not null, then it will be set whatever we are having in this. Okay, we will not at all touch it. So this is how we will set the status as new while adding a record. This is one way. This is way one. Second way, we can do like this as well if we don't want complications, right? If task ID is equal to null identifier, it means it is a add scenario. Then we can go here. So if it is add scenario, then directly we can assign like this. It is giving suggestion, right? Directly we can assign new because it is add scenario, we know, and in the edit scenario it will go here. This is another way to do it. This is a straightforward way to do it. And the second way, what I have shown, there's more proper way to do it, more experienced way to do it, right? When we become experienced developer, we do in that way. Let me control Z it, and what I will do, I will first disable this because I will give this OML to you. So I will disable this and I will say more experienced way to achieve default value set. Way to set the default value. So whenever you will see this solution, you will get to know what we did here. And this is a basic way. Add scenario. If it is add scenario, then what needs to be done? Go to get task by id, list.current.task.status id will be set as new. That's it. Done. Now while adding a new task, always new id will go in the database. That's it. So the second thing we achieved from this action. Now third thing, let me just refresh. So this is add scenario, right? Task ID is null. We are not at all showing the status drop down, right? Now task with new status. If I save, now status will be new only. Let's introduce the status column, then you will get to know. Now we need to introduce a status column now in the task. How we can introduce that? Here the joining will come in picture. Now in the task table, if we are getting task, we are getting the task ID as well. But we are getting ID here, right? We are getting ID, not the label, but we need to show the label. How we can get the label? If we join the task with the status, then we will get the task status specific things as well, and we will use this label to show on the UI. So we have introduced a status source here. Now it will ask us to join. How we can join? Based on the common foreign key reference we can join. So we will join task with the status based on task.status id is equal to status.id. Now how we write a join in SQL? So if we have to write the same query in SQL, how we'll write? We will write like this. Let me write in the notepad. Select star from tasks, join status on task.status id is equal to status.id, right? This is how we'll join. So this action join status will be achieved by introducing the status table. This on will be achieved by now how we can join? Based on the foreign key reference we can join like this. We are joining task with the status based on the task.status id is equal to status.id. Now what type of joins available in SQL first? First is inner join, right? Then left join, then outer join, full outer join, right? We will not cover this in detail, but just a glimpse I am giving. So by default, OutSystems apply with or without. With or without is left join. It will give all the record from left table and it will give associated data from the right table. So for 0, there is nothing in the right table. That's why it is giving blank. If I just interchange the table, then it will not give me that 0 record altogether, because 0 is not at all present in the left table, right? So it will give all the record from the left table. So this is left join OutSystem is applying. If we use with, it is applying full outer join. If we use only with, it is applying inner join. It will only give data where the data is present in both the tables. So for this scenario, we should apply only with only, but as we don't have as we later introduce the status id in the table task, and we don't have data available at this moment, for now we can go with the with or without, and once we will be having data with all the records, then we can come back and change this particular thing, or if we update the database with the proper value, in the sense all the record whichever is having 0 status ID with the 1, then also we can use this only with here. But for now, with or without is fine. In this way, it will give me task table along with the status table. So if you see here, the get task will now be having 2 objects. One will belong to task, second will belong to status. Right? Now what I can do, I can go here in the table, I can go to the table, right click, add a new column. This column will be next to header, next to the title. I will give a name. This is the status. Then I will introduce the row as well on the right place. This will also be status. Okay, I will introduce header, status, and here I will bind it with get task dot list dot current dot status dot label, right? Because this status dot label will be having correct associated value based on the status ID. Okay, that's it. Now we got a new column in our table as well. Let's see. So this is how we can bind multiple tables in one aggregate by adding the sources and applying a proper join. Let's see. Got it, right? We have proper status now. We don't have status with few records because we not at all having a proper data. So we can go here and we can update a proper status. That's it. You see, now if we update it to cancelled, it will get updated with cancelled. Now what we need to do, we need to add one more filter condition, which is filter by status. So how we can achieve that? Here we will add one more drop down. We will add one filter drop down, and the list which we will bind with this drop down will be a status list. So we will have to fetch the status first. So I will fetch all the status by just introducing a new aggregate, which is get statuses, and this drop down will be binded with statuses, and I will require one local variable status ID, selected status ID, selected status ID, status identifier, so that I will bind the selection with the selected status ID. Okay. Now let me just provide proper columns. So what I will do, I will introduce everything inside container. This container will be having 4 column. This will also be having 4 column. 4 column, 4 column. No. This container will be having 4 column, right? 4 column. Then this will also be having 4 column. Okay, 4 column, 4 column. And what is the width of this button? It has been set as 109, right? So we will set it auto. So 4 column, and probably we'll have to make it little bit more smaller. Let's make it 2 column or 3 column. Okay, now it's good. That's it. So this is my status drop down, and I need to show a empty text as well. Select status. So if user select the status, it will set as null value. It will set null value to the selected status ID variable. And if user is selecting null value, we will say all, right? User is selecting null value or user is selecting select all. It means user want to see all the data based on all these statuses, right? It should not add any filter, simply. That's it. Let's see first and then we will add the condition. So this is my task management page. We have now our status drop down. Nothing is happening upon selecting. If user select all, we should show all the data based on all the statuses. Now what we want, on the change of this particular drop down, we want the filter should get performed. So we want exactly same, right? On change of this particular drop down, we should refresh, the get task should get refreshed, and in get task only we will add one more condition. And what this condition is, if task needs to be removed, sorry, not task needs to be removed, selected state ID is equal to null identifier or task dot status ID is equal to selected status ID. That's it. That's it. We will add this condition and we will refresh this particular get task aggregate every time whenever the status will get changed. In short, we want to do the same action. So what we can do, we can rename it to filter, apply filter, and we can call the same action on change of the drop down. This is my drop down, and on change I will just call apply filter. That's it. A simple thing we have done. What we have done, we have just changed the name of the previous action which was applying the filter to apply filter, and we have just called the same action on change event of the drop down. That's it. So what now it will do, if I perform the on change, if I perform this action, whatever I do, it will call that action and it will filter the data. You see, there is no data available. If I say select all, it means it will give me everything. That's it. You understand? Now the most important thing, adding the color. Okay, adding the color here. So let's first see how we can add the color. So if we just go to the expression, this is my expression which is showing the status. If I just add the background color, background blue, it will add a color, right? So what type of colors I need? Background green I need. Okay. For cancelled I need background red. And for completed, for new I need background blue. Okay. So what I will do, I will just copy it. I will go to my static entity. I will introduce one more attribute which will be color class, because each attribute should have a specific color. It means we want one specific color property associated to each attribute. So what I have done, I have right clicked to the status and added one entity attribute, a new attribute, color class. Okay, I have added this color class here, and if I go to new now, I will see a color class attribute here. I will just provide a default class, background blue for new, for completed background green, and for cancelled background red. Okay, now I got my class. Now what is happening here, when I am fetching the data, when I am fetching the get class, I am getting color class as well, right? It is not giving data because I will have to publish. Let me publish it first because we have added a new attribute, right? Without publishing, it will not preview the data on the developer mode. So let's wait. Now it will start giving me the color class as well. You see, background blue, background blue, background blue. It is giving because the status is new. What I will do, I will come here. I will go to this expression, and here I will add this style class, and this style class I am having here under list.current.status.color class. Right? Now we got the color class attribute here. Na? That's it. Now it will apply the proper background as well, or whatever we want to do, we can do. It was a good exercise, right? It was pretty complex. I also found it a little bit complex from the basic operation point of view. But I hope you understand. We should make the text as well white here for this particular scenario. If it is blue, then the text should be white. Otherwise, it's not visible properly. We should add a padding as well properly. So we should slightly do some more thing like this, plus padding S. You see, now it added a padding and text neutral 0. Okay, now the color is white. Now it will look good. That's it. I hope you understand. Lots of things we did in this particular exercise. I hope you understand. Otherwise, I would recommend you can watch the video again if you have some query. Also, I am giving the entire OML with this particular lecture as a resource. You can have a look. Otherwise, I will give lots of exercises around the database operations, and of course, I will include these type of exercises as well. You can go to the new course, another course where I am providing the exercises, and you can do the hands-on. When you will do the hands-on, you will get to know all the associated stuff and way to handle this type of scenarios. I hope you understand, guys. And that's it for this lecture. We will meet in the next lecture. Till then, bye-bye.